What's up, guys? It has been a while. My apologies. I don't think I've actually posted a video for a little over a month, but work continues unabated. I and my documentarian and friend Mark Ostrick and several other people have been working behind the scenes to finish off the Method documentary, which is actually going to comprise 15 individual vignettes of a mixture of storytelling, context, background, and of course instructed material. In addition to that, we have 10 bonus features that are in their very final cuts right now. In fact, the first one should be finished today and then throughout the week. And if I had to guess, we're roughly a week to a week and a half away from releasing the entire full project. It's going to be 25 videos. It's honestly magnificent. I'm super proud of the whole team, and I can't wait to show it to the disc golfing eyes of the world. But today I wanted to talk about something that's kind of been in the back of my head for a while, as I myself have been perfecting it, honestly, in the background. When I look at the form that I had back in October versus the form that I have now, and I see this sort of incremental growth of my own backhand capabilities. The form that I had back in October, even though a lot of things were right, did not really add momentum very well. It was quite powerful and biomechanical standstill form. That's kind of what I had perfected. How to throw a really powerful standstill, which is kind of the frame for everything that you do in the sport, whether you're throwing on the tee, whether you're throwing a mid-range upshot, sometimes even whether or not you're putting from the circle. Still the same kind of basic bracing and sequencing and stuff. But how to add momentum? How do you add momentum to this perfect braced and leveraged mechanism? How do you add momentum without breaking the sequence, without breaking your balance points? Well, the key, of course, relates to balance. You must learn to X-step properly, how to stay balanced at every stage in the X-step. It was a thing that was totally mystifying to me when I first started playing disc golf back in 1998. And when I do a little bit of the storytelling in the documentary, but to give you the TLDR, I started playing the sport in 1998 when it was really, really pretty rudimentary. It was extremely hard to find any teaching online. The only thing I was able to find, I found in 2002, and it was an old VHS cassette tape of Scott Stokely's form. Scott Stokely, who's like 6'8" or something, just a giant gorilla of a man with huge arms and huge levers, and his biomechanics did not work in my body. Scott Stokely's video did not help me, unfortunately, and I kind of wandered in the weeds until about 2004 when I saw pro form for the first time. And from that point onward, I was obsessed with the idea of trying to learn to throw the way that these guys did, but I had no clue. But in 2004, I got my first instruction in the X-step, courtesy of a guy named Chris Brophy. And Chris, if you're out there watching this someday, thank you for the lesson, man. It helped me on my way as a golfer. And I owe you a debt for sure. But anyway, Chris was willing to volunteer his time to teach me. I had no idea what I was doing. I was crabbing down the tee trying to throw. And Chris was happy to jump up from this group of people who had come up from Los Angeles. I had seen a bunch of guys play with pro form. And foremost among them were Steve Rico and Bobby Music. And when I watched those two guys throw, it utterly blew my mind to watch these guys throw. It was like watching people walk on water. And I could throw like an anemic 220, 230 feet, and these guys could throw over 400 feet. And the discs were these towering, hissing shots that just roared through the air. And they just had irrepressible momentum and speed. They would just fly and fly and fly. And I just stand there marveling, going, are these guys divine or something? What the hell? How do they throw so far? I was obsessed with trying to learn it. And Chris Brophy gave me my first lesson in the X-step. What Chris showed me, which is what so many people have shown also, is that you're supposed to wind up your lower body when you go down the tee. You're supposed to turn around and wind up this whole mechanism in your hips. Get turned backwards. If you look at Scott Stokely's form, it looks just like that. Pretty much, it looks like that. But the difference between what Scott Stokely is doing versus what a person who's actually throwing with biomechanics outside of his body is that the hips actually don't get turned backwards at all. At no stage does this left hip ever point backwards. It's not supposed to point backwards relative to the trajectory. You actually need to keep the entire mechanism linear, perfectly linear. And in fact, the more linear you can make it, the more balanced you can become. The more powerful and spring-loaded this whole mechanism is, the easier it is to load force into it, to add momentum. And with practice, you can go so fast. You can do a giant pitch kick. You can do whatever you want. You can look just like how Macbeth and Girthy and stuff look on the tee, or Drew. These guys who have perfect biomechanics that also are utilizing gravity. So these body positions were totally elusive to me because Like so many people, I spent between 2004 and roughly 2020, 16 years, running down the tee pad backwards, which of course sets you up for failure. If you were ever shown to turn around and run backwards like this, you are only setting your entire body to wind up, to brace with your feet in opposite directions, and to throw the disc in a big circle. And the thing is that if you're reasonably athletic, and you do that, if you run down, if I really wail on it, sorry, it's so foreign to even try to do that. I mean, I braced more than you would have normally, but you get the idea. The only way that this mechanism, which kind of mimics the way they throw 360s, works, is if you were throwing at a crazy-ass hyzer angle over your right shoulder, which is why people that are throwing, they get grip lock distance. It's because they're holding onto the disc longer. So they go backwards, they plant open, they turn, and they fire the mechanism this way into the wall. But the thing is that they're supposed to throw straight. So instead of having an ejection point in your swing, when you rotate backwards and swing around, you have to figure out where to let go of the disc. When it's flailing over here, sorry, my foot would be planted this way because it's open, swinging that way. So I have to figure out with my brain where to let go manually with the disc right here to get it to go where I want. And the disc will, of course, fly up, and it'll turn in that S-turn, and it'll go 350 feet. And your friends will applaud, and they'll think that you are throwing the correct way. That was me for forever, until roughly 2020 when I started to get better. So the thing is, now here we'll get to the instructive part of this rather than the storytelling, I apologize, is that how to get into these beautiful, graceful positions that comprise the X-step. If you could look at Paul Macbeth or Drew or Eagle or any of the people that really know how to X-step properly, and you were to pay attention to where their center of mass is, you could draw a line through it the whole time, and you'd see it straight between their feet at all times as they move from one point to the other. It's hard to learn. It's really, really hard to learn it as an adult when you don't have their natural kid's balance and their ability to acclimate to an entirely new physical thing. Your adult's brain kind of ossified, and it's hard to teach you new things. But you have one hack. There's a secret. There's a secret that aids in all of this, that allows me to do these perfect positions, these perfect balanced positions, where I can land, brace, load, and swing at 70 miles an hour without even barely breaking eye contact with the camera. The secret is gravity, of course. Gravity. Your brain knows how to move in gravity. Gravity is the key to all of this. It's all about creating a gravitational effect from up to down. I've talked about it in other videos. You're creating this sort of piston-style effect using gravity. So the X-step can teach you perfect gravity. Perfect gravity can teach you the X-step perfectly because your brain already understands how to move in gravity. So the way that I've been teaching people momentum is by setting them up in what I call the left side frame. With the method, we begin in the right side frame, and this twist that connects to the arm, that's a totally, obviously different video. But once you begin to add momentum to the mechanism, you have the opposite side of it, the left side frame. And so if you want to feel what it's like to do the final stride, all you have to do is get balanced, as I am right now. I have about probably 90, that's 100, 95.5 weight right now. Most of it is in the ball of my foot. I don't have my heel on the ground. And I'm like up on the midfoot. And 5% is in the outside of my right foot. And all I'm gonna do is turn to the right with gravity. Just tip, controlling my momentum as I do that. Fall to the right, catch. Stand up, fall to the right, catch. Fall, stand up again. And what's cool is that once you start to do this, you can play with your center of mass. You can feel it moving and catch yourself. Either on a straight foot initially, which will feel more comfortable, and then as you get better, you can begin to turn the foot outward. So control how gravity drops you down. You have control over this. And then once you start to really groove with it, you can like bounce around on the brace. Boing, boing. It's almost like you're going to go and stand and run this way or something. Gravity is your friend in this. Left side frame. Drop into the brace. Drop into the brace. Feel how it sets you up to be powerful, where you can push off the right leg and come back. That motion is the stride. This is what you see Macbeth doing. This is what you see Eagle and Drew all doing. And it sets you up perfectly to do the method, to swing with lateral compression. So again, left side, drop to the right, drop to the right. You can even look where you're going to plant. And then you can practice wobbly arms, loose arms, drop, turn your shoulders. This is not a reach back. This is dropping forward, arm in the same place, loading the upper body, not reaching back. Letting gravity drop me there. This is how you stride at the end of the X step. Okay, so I'll do more videos of this obviously in season 2, in chapter 2. But I'm going to move to the other part that's super, super hard and incredibly consequential. However, I'm going to make that the subject of a second video because I've been going a while. I don't want to take up too much of your attention. Thank you for watching. Be back in part 2. See you soon.